Story number one. He knew where I lived. A few summers ago, I went for a bike ride around midnight with a friend. We went our separate ways at the end of the evening, and I had about 2 blocks to ride back by myself. Because of construction, I had to ride on the sidewalk, but the street were dead. But it wasn't a problem until right where I was about to turn left onto my street. There was this man walking by himself, maybe 40s, a little scruffy, but not homeless. The sidewalk was narrow and I didn't want to freak him out, so when I got about 6 feet behind him, I said, "Hey, behind you!" And he turned around and gave me this super angry look. I turned down Me Street and he started to follow me, literally screaming about how I was a fucking cunt and he was going to kill me and all that. I live right off the corner, and I didn't want him to figure that out, so I decided to do another loop around the block. That's not the scary part. The scary part is that when I looped back around and looked down the street, I saw him standing on my fucking front stoop, staring out at the street like the motherfucker knew I lived there. He saw me ride by again, but he didn't say anything. I ended up going back to the friends, but my bike got stolen from the alleyway by the house 2 days later. Edit. The guy in question was definitely not actually homeless. We have a large population of mentally ill in that area, unfortunately, downtown of a medium-sized city. So if I didn't think the sidewalk was too narrow to pass, otherwise I wouldn't have disturbed him. Half the scary part was that he looked pretty much completely normal for my area. That being said, I ended up texting my mom and she made the decision not to notify law enforcement until my bike was stolen. Story number two, 1122. About 2 years ago, I was driving home late from a family reunion. The drive was about 2 hours and most of it went through narrow roads surrounded by dense trees and bushes, the kind you usually see in horror movies. About 45 minutes in, exhaustion hit me all at once, the kind that comes out of nowhere. I knew I wouldn't make it home safely, but there was nowhere to pull over properly. Eventually, I made a bad decision. I pulled off the road onto the grass, hiding my car behind some bushes so passing drivers wouldn't notice me. The road wasn't empty. A car passed every few minutes. I checked the time. 11:22. Then I fell asleep. I woke up to a scratching sound. The clock read 11:50. The sound stopped after a few seconds, and being half asleep, I ignored it and drifted off again. I woke up a second time. 12:40. This time the scratching didn't stop. My first thought was an animal, but why would it come back almost an hour later? I checked the rear view mirror and just caught a glimpse of something running into the forest. That was enough. I started the car and drove off. Less than 100 yards ahead, around a bend, I saw another car parked on the side of the road. The driver's door was wide open. I slowed down just long enough to check. No one inside. Then I looked in the mirror. Out of nowhere, a man came sprinting around the corner, screaming at me to get out of my car. I didn't stop. I floored it and kept driving. I never saw him again. I never sleep on the side of a deserted road anymore. Story number three, the man in the tree. When I was very young, my parents let me sleep in the living room on weekends. One night I woke up suddenly, not from a sound, but from a strange prickling feeling. I sat up and looked out the front window. We lived in rural Georgia, surrounded by tall, dark trees. In the moonlight, I saw a silhouette of someone standing in one of them. Our dog rushed to the window, snarling and scratching at the glass. Terrified, I ran to my parents. My dad went outside with the dogs, but came back saying he saw nothing and told me to go to bed. Later in my bedroom, I finally started to relax. Then I saw him again, outside my window, perfectly still. He looked straight at me, put a finger to his lips, and ran into the trees.